Thank you so much for joining us on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So tell us a little bit about your company and its relationship to not only football, but the Super Bowl.
So I work for Outer Stuff. My father-in-law, Saul Werdiger, who you have the pleasure of having had on the show a few
Sure.
times. So we make all the children's apparel for all the four major sporting leagues for the NFL, NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball. We make the official licensed jerseys and team apparel that's sold on all the websites, NFL.com, NBA.com, and we make all the apparel in related to the Super Bowl and to the events as well.
Wait, so
Oh,
just slow us down a second because this is getting exciting.
okay.
What does that mean? So if I go, if you know, in the Super Bowl, like where is your stuff?
All of the team shops and all of the stores inside the stadium, as well as the venues around the stadium. So
Oh wow.
all of the any place that you could buy team apparel, we're there.
Oh wow. So now that's phenomenal, and it makes me happier if I buy my kids team apparel now. I know at least it's staying in the family.
Paying
So
customer, we love it.
so um, that means that you've been have you been to Super Bowls before?
Yeah, I've been to about I want to say about a dozen Super Bowls already.
And what's it like in the stadium during the Super Bowl?
It's crazy. It's really uh living in New York and being a Giants fan, the two best games I've ever been to in my life were the two Super Bowls where we beat Tom
The
Brady.
Patriots.
Oh,
The Patriots.
yeah. But just the feeling and the like you could feel in the air, the tension of the game, the excitement, and it's just an incredible event to be at from start to finish, not just the game, everything surrounding it. The NFL does such a great job with all of the hype and all of the pre-game shows and all of the experience around the weekend of the Super Bowl.
Mhm. And you've had the opportunity to see a lot of athletes and players in your experiences. Can you give us, because at the end of the day, sports, I believe, is a metaphor for life, right? And people have achieved success in sports because they're hitting some principles. What do you find to be some of the things that you learn from people that you've met that have achieved success in this area, that you think is just principles for life?
One thing I would say is just how people present themselves and carry themselves, and um, they show outwardly to everybody else, and they're consistent about who they are and how they became successful.
Hmm.
One of the most important things, especially about us being in the business and our family being in the business, is us being Jewish, we're very proud about that. And people respect that tremendously because we don't hide who we are and we don't
Hmm.
hide our religion. We're very proud of that. And people from the top people in the league all respect the fact that we're Jewish, that we keep Shabbat, and that we eat kosher. And I mean, my father-in-law, I'm sure, has told you many stories about different events and things that happened at the events and at games, World Series, Super Bowls, where people went out of their way to make sure that we had accommodations for Shabbat or to have kosher food at the games because they respect that about us.
It's an amazing concept you just brought up that I want to delve into here, because I wouldn't have expected it. And the fact that you brought it up is so great, which is you can't really be great if you're not really being honest. Like if you're not you, you can't be the best version of you. And it's so interesting that that was the first thing that you mentioned, which is what you see in the people around you and what you are exemplifying in yourself is the idea that you have to be authentic with who you are and what you're good at. And then when you have that confidence, you can begin to build off that.
I mean, being a Sabbath observant Jew, I don't use any of my electronic devices over Shabbat. And I had one time somebody asked me and they said, "Hey, there's a team playing tonight. The World Series could potentially be over tonight. It was the Cubs against the Indians, and there was a Friday night game, and somebody could have won that night. It would have been over. And they said, you don't like sneak a peek at your phone and ever look at like who won? I said, no, I'm Sabbath observant. I don't look at my phone. I don't watch TV. I don't, and like, to them, it's so foreign. But then afterwards, they're like, wow, I wish I had the self-confidence and the ability to be able to totally disconnect and not be able to hold myself back from doing that.
Right.
People really respect that. They really do.
Yeah. It's an interesting concept. And even when you look at the players, I would say that the people that are who they are, even in their own talents, right? So for sure in the area of one's spirituality and one's belief systems, that would be 100% true. I would go further. I would like to get your opinion. Even in the area of talents, knowing what you can do, knowing what you can't do, and being able to be comfortable with who you are, and then building off that as a pathway to achieving greatness.
Listen, whether you're a player, whether you're a manager, whether you're a team owner, or whether you're just a guy that's, providing apparel for for the leagues, at the end of the day, if your message is consistent and you outwardly show what your religion is, not just religion, what a type of a human being you are.
Yeah.
Being Jewish, people always ask me, how is it to be in a sports related business, yet at the same time be Jewish? And I try to explain to them that my religion comes first. Everything else is
Right.
secondary.
Amazing.
And that's how I try to present myself to everybody that I do have business dealings with, everybody that I deal with and have relationships with, because I tell them that my priority is my religion. I live my life around my religion, and everything else comes after that. And I want to make sure that I present myself as a good human being, as a good person, and that everybody respects that about me.
Yeah.
And our family. I learned that from my father-in-law.
Yeah.
He's the prince of our family, and he gets to the leader of our family, and he leads by example. So
Wow.
he's a great leader for us.
Let me ask you a question that you don't have to give me an answer if you don't want to, but I have to ask it.
Okay.
I as a kid growing up, I always was. I mean, obviously, I would stay up. Obviously, not on Shabbat. I would stay up till whenever it is to watch the final games, especially if there was, the Yankees or the Giants. And I'd always be amazed that, like, 5 minutes later, they got T-shirts on, and I'm like, wait, how did that happen? Like, how did they know? Like, how does it work? Like, do you have them both? You don't got to tell us if you don't want to. You can say
No,
it's a
it's
state
okay.
secret.
I'll share it with you. It's okay. So obviously, the way it works is they draft up and they design the apparel for the winning team of all the winning teams. I could actually show you, not the Super Bowl because that's confidential, but I could show you, the AFC champions. If you could see
Wow.
that, that was the
Sure.
Chiefs, right? But if the Bills had won, that
Oh,
was.
wow. That's great.
So it's like a template. You got the same thing. They're playing the Bucks. The Bucks won. Had the Packers won. That's
Oh,
what it
it's
would look.
great. So do you print these jerseys? Do you print them or you just have them ready?
Yeah, so we print a very small percentage of the
Uh-huh.
t-shirts ahead of the time.
Just the players
Um,
or whatnot, just so you give a little
just for
bit.
the players, for their kids, for like the in venue, for let's say like the stadium. This year is a little bit different than other years because
Right.
there's really less people at the events and in the arenas. But we usually do a percentage in advance that gets sold to the stadiums and sold to the surrounding stores for both teams or for everything. And then we go ahead and we have everything staged at screen printers. That's actually what my end of the business that I manage. We have everything there, the blank t-shirts, the artwork, the holograms, the stickers, everything that needs to go, and we have people just on standby. As soon as the game is over,
Boom,
it's
boom.
done. A few years back, I
Great.
think it was a few years back, I think it was the Broncos Panthers, and they were like blowing out. The Broncos were blowing out the Panthers in the game. They were up by like 30 points at halftime. And the printers kept calling me, Abe, can we start printing? Can we start printing? And I said, no, you can't start until it gets close enough that I can gamble, because what happens is that the team that loses, the NFL requires us, and we send it to a third world country as a donation for impoverished and poverty-stricken people. So that they do get used occasionally, but not
Right.
sold.
Right. Then I'm right. Exactly. That's amazing. You're making one of the most important calls in the game. I can imagine you like looking at the bench going like, he called a field goal. He's never going to beat Brady. Go to the
Listen,
presses. Like that's a
by the
pretty
way,
big call.
we had that 3 years ago when the Patriots played the Falcons, right?
Oh my gosh, that's
They came
exactly
back.
right.
They came back.
And
Our
what happened in that game? Did you
our
end up printing? No.
No, our printers had everything set up to start running the Falcons merch. And then as it started getting closer, I was actually at the Super Bowl, and like I had people calling me saying, "Can we start?" And I said, "You got to hold off. You got to hold off. Look at what's happening." And then they had to switch over everything and change and start printing Patriots. It was just bedlam. It was crazy.
Oh my gosh, that's great. Oh, the stuff nobody sees. The
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
nobody sees.
And for me, it's a lot of fun. I grew up, obviously it's my father-in-law's business, it's our family business, but I grew up a big sports fan. So I mean, like, this is like a dream come true as a
For sure.
job,
For
growing up
sure.
a sports fan. So
That's amazing. Well, I thank you for being on, and more importantly, I thank you for being who you are. And that's something that people need to appreciate. When you are who you are, and the way you say it, the way you just said it a minute ago, which I love, first and foremost, I'm a Jew, and that's who I am. And then on
yeah,
top of that, I can do stuff. But we thank you for that clarity, because I'm sure what you're doing without realizing it, because I know in my career, I've had the benefit of other Jews who have been proud Jews that laid the groundwork for me when I got to the law firm, when I ended up doing whatever I was doing. And I'm sure what you're doing is, without even realizing it, is you are actually paving the way for other Jews to feel prouder and to have an easier ride, because the people around you go, no, I know Abe. I, we're good. Like, you know what I'm saying? I know Saul, I know Abe, I know the team. If it's okay that that you don't work on Shabbat, it's okay. I know it. I've had the experience. And so thank you for what you do. And thank you for what you do, what you mean to us.
my pleasure. And what's funny? I'm on like a bunch of groups from all my years of going to the sporting events and the games. Actually, Ellie, who's another guest on the show, he actually texted me this week and asked me if I was going, because he was looking for where to have the Shabbat meal or where to have services. We're on like some group chats of people who are
Wow.
looking for the services, looking for the kosher stand, looking for the kosher meal. So I've developed relationships with people who are Jewish
Right.
and in the sports business, and it's really a great thing to be a part of. And
Amazing.
thank you for having me, and I
Of
really
course.
appreciate it. And I'm happy I was able to share some of that with you.
Amazing. Thank you. Thanks so much for watching. For more content, like and subscribe, and be sure to tune in live every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern at theshabbatshow.com or right here on YouTube.